Welcome to Cornerstone Home Inspector Education Center. Tonight we have inspecting mobile and manufacturing homes.
I don't know.
If
It
you
was
have-
there when I got here.
Hold on, I'm gonna just mute this person. There you go. Sorry about that. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat bot. If you have, if you'd like to physically, verbally ask a question, unmute your microphone, and then be sure to mute it when you're done. We have a big crowd tonight, so we're just going to get it started. So inspecting mobile and manufacturing homes, a complete guide. So today we're going to talk about construction basics. We won't be going through some code, but some factory processes, structural elements, the different types of foundation and support, roofs and exteriors, interior systems, and any kind of special considerations. We're going to talk about state standards for home inspectors. So Cornerstone covers 5 states, and just going to basically go through these pretty quickly. In Connecticut, the inspector shall inspect the structural components of the foundation and framing. We have to probe a representative number of structural components where deterioration is expected, where clear indication of possible deterioration exists. Probing is not required when probing would damage any finished surfaces. The inspector shall describe the foundation and report the methods to use the inspect the foundation or underfloor crawl space or basement area. Massachusetts emphasizes the state. Massachusetts emphasizes state's comprehensive licensing board and any specific continuation requirements related to manufactured housing. Rhode Island highlight the need for inspectors to differentiate between mobile homes and traditional site-built homes in their reports, considering variations of property classifications. New Jersey, basically, they want you to apply to the unique components of the manufacturing home, such as the chassis, the anchoring systems. And New York addressed varying regulations across different regions as a necessity of understanding local ordinances in addition to statewide requirements for these specialized structures. Okay. What makes mobile homes different? Unlike site-built homes, manufacturers' homes are built entirely in factories under federal standards, transported to the site on permanent chassis, typically set on non-permanent foundations, governed by HUD code, not local building codes, constructed with different types of materials and techniques. These differences create unique inspection challenges that require specialized knowledge. Stan, you ready?
Yeah, I don't know if I agree. Could you go back to that?
Sure, go ahead.
I don't know if I agree with all of that.
Okay.
Would you consider, so I think if I did 1 or 2 actual mobile homes in 37 years, I don't remember them, with the tires and all that stuff. Most of what I do now would be these manufactured homes, and I wouldn't call those foundations non-permanent. It's like almost like slab construction, what they're sitting on. They're strapped down or bolted down in some way, shape, or form, but it's not that you can pick all that up and move it. So I think the manufactured homes, at least the ones I've done over the years, I would consider those permanent foundations. That's staying there.
Right.
No.
But I think where they're coming from, Stan, I didn't mean to interrupt you, is I think the fact
okay.
that you can unstrap them, you can attach the tow hitch on it, and you can move them.
Not a manufactured home.
What's that?
Not those ones up in Ryder's Way. Those are going nowhere.
They can move. Well, they're strapped down, but you can get. They're all strapped down, but you can move them if you had to. A lot of those Ryder ones move to every location.
Okay, all right. But the foundation is permanent.
Well,
when they go, that foundation stays there. Oh, you mean permanent part of the house? All right, then I'll give you that. Okay.
Right.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Do you want to go on or?
Yeah. So pre-1967.
76. Well, I think we lost them. Okay, I'm gonna take over. Let's see if we lost him. Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can get him back. He muted himself. Hold on. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to continue on then. Regulatory background. Pre 1976 mobile homes, no unified construction standards. Quality and safety vary dramatically, often built to automotive standards. Higher risk of serious deficiencies. Post 1976 manufactured homes built to federal HUD code, regulated design and construction standards, required certification labels, HUD tags. Sometimes you'll see these on newer models. The older models might not have them. Consistent minimum quality requirements. As an inspector, you should always know whether the home was built pre or post HUD code, as this dramatically affects your assessment approach. So it's kind of obvious when you go into some of these things. The newer ones are just kept up better. The systems I find are a little bit easier to find. Finding the water heater, electrical panel, where on the older homes, who knows where they are? It can be very difficult. Let me just make sure Stan is probably just logging in. Stan, you're logged in, but you're muted. So it's just unmute.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead. Understanding you want to take over?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. You're good.
I don't know. We're saying that I had a new microphone and it didn't recognize it.
Okay. You're good.
Understanding key manufacturers. So recognizing the manufacturer of a mobile or manufactured home is crucial for home inspectors. Companies like Clayton Homes dominate the market, and understanding their product methods and common construction details can provide valuable highlights during your assessment. So different manufacturers may have distinct construction practices, material choices, or reoccurring issues associated with their models. Familiarity with these patterns helps in anticipating potential findings and conducting a more thorough and efficient inspection. I think that's kind of important, especially if you do a lot of them. You'll start to see a trend if those kinds of things exist, and you'll have an idea of what you're up against before you even get there. Responsibilities as an inspector: to identify HUD certification and data plates, evaluate the foundation and support adequacy, assess structural integrity and moisture issues, identify improper modifications, verify systems meet safety requirements, and document deficiencies with proper terminology. So in general, it's the same thing we do for any other structure, but there may be some unique things there that we have to pay special attention to. So key risk factors: water intrusion at roof seams and penetrations, same as a house in my opinion. Inadequate support systems and settlement. Well, we can transfer our concerns for a foundation to this line here. Improper anchoring and tie downs, that's unique to a manufactured home. Unauthorized additions or modifications. Sometimes the site restricts that anyways. And then electrical and fire safety concerns and transport setup damage. If you're viewing this as a pre-recorded webinar, the viewing code that you need to record and send to us is MH2836, and you'll get your certificate. So your experience level: how often do you inspect mobile manufactured homes? Frequently, occasionally, rarely, never. I would say I fall in that occasionally, a few times per year. And like I said before, most of them are manufactured homes rather than ones you're going to lift up and roll out of there easily.
Right.
Okay, Jim. Construction basics. HUD code overview. The HUD code 24 CFR part 3280, established in 1976, governs all aspects of manufactured home construction. Structure: the frame integrity, wind resistance, roof load capacity, and transportability. systems, the electrical safety, plumbing design, HVAC requirements, fire protection, performance, energy efficiency, ventilation standards, moisture control, and durability requirements. HUD certified homes must display a red certification label on the exterior and a data plate inside, typically in the master bedroom closet or electrical panel. I've always told people with modular homes or even these homes that they're built in controlled temperature environments, and they're built to travel along the road. And that in itself, to me, in my opinion, is a step up to a stick-built home on site, because most people are kind of afraid of them a little bit. But I think that generally they offer a little bit more than a on-site built home. Go ahead, Jim. So pre-1976 mobile home, no federal standards, as we discussed, often lighter construction, typically 8 to 10 feet wide, and higher likelihood of aluminum wiring. The post-1976 manufactured home is HUD regulated now, improved structural standards, wind zone and thermal requirements, required safety features, and better overall quality. Factory construction process. So the chassis and the frame assembly, I'm assuming this is in order of how they're built. First, the floor system installed, interior and exterior walls erected, roof trusses and sheathing applied, electrical, plumbing, and HVAC installed, interior finishes and fixtures added, transportation, packaging, and protection. That all makes sense. Inspection implications. Unlike site-built homes, manufactured homes have chassis and integral structural components, use lightweight materials to reduce weight, have factory-installed systems often inaccessible, may show signs of transportation and setup stress, have unique seams and connection points.
So on the factory installed systems that are often inaccessible, when I first started inspecting the water heater on mobile homes, usually it's behind a wall. And then you've got to really just pay attention. There's usually screws holding that wall in, and it's just a part of the wall that's removable. But there is a water heater. It is not underneath the mobile home. It's in there. Same thing with the electrical panels. They can be hidden in closets. But I always found, it's the first thing I try to determine is where that water heater is, because it can be difficult.
In the development that we have here in Milford, it's in a closet. And if you're not aware of where it is, if you're persistent, you'll probably eventually find it, but it's in the closet, and generally those closets are jam-packed full of stuff to get to that sidewall. But if you're able to get underneath, you will find probably the water lines and so on and so forth. So frame and chassis design. The steel chassis is the permanent structural backbone of a manufactured home. Heavy I-beam or C-channel steel frame rails. Cross members provide lateral support. Outriggers extend from the main beam to support exterior walls. Drawbar tongue often removed after placement, and axles and wheels may be removed after setup. So kind of like a posted beam, maybe, if you wanted to compare it to stick-built construction. Inspection focuses, look for bent frame members, inadequate support locations, signs of stress at outrigger connections, and improper alteration to the frame. Now, the ones that I see, and the only one, I don't really do many more out of this, other than this development in Milford. Usually the underside of these have a netting that you can't even see through, that you're probably not going to see a lot of this. And of course, we need to document that with pictures and in writing in your report that it was inaccessible. Sometimes there may be a tear, animals get up in there, so on and so forth, but at least here it's difficult to see all of this. You may see parts of it, you may see none of it.
You're talking about that, you're talking about that curtain, the plastic curtain at the base
Yeah.
of the, yeah. Those can get very brittle. So you got to be careful if you're gonna, a lot of them just slide. But unless it's easy access, I've broken a number of them trying to get in, trying to want to do a good job and get pictures and stuff, trying to find the main water shut off, which is usually normally underneath there. But a lot of the newer ones today, they're just, especially when it's cold weather, it's impossible to get them moving.
I think Stan is talking about the underbelly, where the
Okay.
insulation is and everything, and you're talking about the skirting that goes around, Jim,
Gotcha.
almost like the siding. And sometimes there's an access, whoever done it, I know the ones that Stan does that I have done as well. Sometimes there's an access, sometimes there isn't. And I got to be honest that sometimes I can kind of pull it back a little bit and at least get in, take a peek in it. But certainly Jim is right. They do, it's like vinyl siding, get very brittle. But I think Stan was talking about actually the underbelly, the covering that covers the insulation, everything where, I've had animals and mice, get up in there and rip all that. Is that what you were talking about, Stan?
Yes. I've also seen some water collecting in there as well, sagging and stuff like that.
Yep.
When I could see in there, like, I'm going to say that it's not often that I can get underneath one of those, just because I don't want to try and break those skirts. But that's me.
Same here in New Jersey. Same here.
Yeah, I used to be a superhero home inspector and try and get to everything, and then you break a few things and you wind up paying for them or have to explain why that happened, and you're just doing your job. So if there's reasonable amount of effort to get it underneath with me not thinking that I'm going to damage anything, I will. But I'm not going to go and risk turning my check over to somebody to fix something. So roof assembly, low pitch truss system, 312 or less, OSB or plywood sheathing, factory installed shingles or metal roofing, potential marriage line at multi-section connections, limited access space with minimal insulation. I don't think I've ever seen one with any access space. Always low pitched roofs. I've always seen architecturals up until a little while. Asphalt up until a little while ago. Most of them were 3-tab until they were time to be changed, and then they become architectural now. So again, I don't want to keep on referring to it, but it's very much like a house in those for those components. Same type of inspection. Are the shingles laying down? Are they older and worn? Are they blowing off? The wall construction is 2x3 or 2x4 studs at 16 or 24 inches on center. The OSB or particle board sheathing, limited insulation, R11 typical in walls. Vinyl covered drywall or paneling interior, that's what I see. Factory finished exterior siding. Basically around here I see mostly the vinyl. Floor systems, perimeter frame with floor joist, particle board or OSB decking, insulation with bottom board, belly wrap, as Scott and I were talking about. Systems run between frame and floor, and factory installed flooring. So these lightweight assemblies allow for transportation, but create specific vulnerability points that inspectors must access. Okay, Jim. Common exterior materials. So metal siding, common in older homes, prone to dents and damage, just like aluminum was, susceptible to rusted seams, often painted to extend the life. Vinyl standing standard on newer homes, that's what I see, can become brittle over time, special J channels at openings, and vulnerable to impact damage. Hardboard or composite, I don't think I've ever seen around in my neck of the woods. Common in 1980s and 1990s. Highly susceptible to moisture, often shows deterioration at the bottom. Subject of multiple class action lawsuits. So inspection tip, check all seams, corners, penetrations for proper sealing and signs of water intrusion. Again, those are typical things that we're going to be doing no matter what type of house we're doing. Okay, Jim. Windows and doors, typical issues. So the windows are often lighter duty than site-built homes. Site pane, single pane common in older units. Metal frames may lack thermal breaks. Special sizes make replacement difficult. Common leak points at marriage lines and condensation and seal failure issues. The picture here with the water coming in through there, I won't say common, but I see that periodically. You know, they're not the greatest windows. You know, if I can get to them, I'll operate them all. I do tell them in the report. I discuss the quality of the windows with them. The doors are thinner than standard. They may lack proper weather stripping. Settlement can cause binding, alignment issues, and security concerns with original hardware. I don't put a lot of emphasis on the security concerns. If I feel the door is sturdy and lockable, that's about as far as I will go with it. Skirting and under home enclosures. So the skirting types most common is vinyl. Metal panels can be installed there too. Falk stone or brick probably can be done after if somebody wants to spruce up their property. Pressure treated wood, I think I've seen that once, and concrete block or masonry I've never seen here. The key inspection points would be to determine required ventilation, 1 square foot per 150 square feet. Access opening, as Scott and I discussed that one development that we work in a lot. There's no stand. If there's an opening, somebody put it in afterwards. Ground clearance, 12 inches to the bottom board. Ground moisture barrier recommended, and secure attachment, but allowing for home movement. And critical issues: proper skirting installation can trap moisture under the home, or improper, I'm sorry, accelerating floor system deterioration and promoting mold growth. So the ones that I get to see here, they're concrete pads. I'm not saying moisture can't be an issue or rain runoff. So I will talk about that if I can see inside. If I can't see inside, I just bring it up anyways and tell them that they need to, you know, maintain the grading around the house just as any other building. The ones that I've been able to get underneath are more than 12 inches. If I can get underneath there, it's more than 12 inches. And always looking at the method of attachment when I can, to make sure that everything is in good condition. Okay, Jim.
Stan, are you going to know if it's just sitting on the ground or a concrete slab? Do you note that in your report?
I do, but again, and I hate to be repetitious, but the only ones that I see are the ones in this development, and they're all the same.
Okay.
And I have the opportunity to see a couple pads just sitting out there. I don't know if new ones are coming in or something was on there and left, but they're all basically very similar in that development. Those were moved from one site in Milford to another, the ones that could be, or new ones were given to people. When somebody bought a piece of the old Ryder Park, and part of the agreement was to move people to a new park. So they're built pretty much similar in nature, all of them. So anchoring and tie downs. Anchoring systems are critical safety features that secure manufactured homes against wind, uplift, and lateral movement. So component details consist of ground anchors, auger, concrete, or driven drive anchors, steel straps, galvanized or zinc coated, and stabilizer plates for lateral support. I don't know if we have pictures of these individually. Anchor heads and tensioning devices, and frame attachment and clips. And we want to make sure that there's appropriate number of spacing for home size and wind zone. I don't know how we're going to know that. I'm hoping, at least here in Milford, that when those were put in place, that all those things were taken into consideration and determined by the building department to be sufficient. Proper strap angles. So 40 to 50 degrees is ideal. Signs of rust damage or loose components. So if you're able to get underneath there, that's what we're looking for. Proper tensioning of straps. Obviously, if you can go and play it like a guitar, it's probably not proper tension. And compliance with manufacturer's instructions, which again, we may not have at our disposal. So sometimes you got to use your knowledge and expertise a little bit and maybe pass it on in some type of written form in your report to have it double checked or confirmed.
So if you're in an older park with an older home and you don't see that strapping, it's just sitting on a couple of concrete blocks like we have here, but you don't see this strapping, you're calling that out, even if it's pre-76?
Well, according to this, it wasn't required, right?
Right.
You want to
are
make a
you
note
gonna
of that.
Well, I mean, you call out GFCIs in a kitchen, would you call lack of strapping? That's my
Well,
question.
you're talking to the wrong guy when you talk about codes, because I think it's ridiculous that we talk about codes on one page and probably not even mention a bunch on another. So I would probably say, so if you look at that auger or whatever you want to call the ground anchor, it is like on a 40 to 50 degree angle. If you don't see that, what's the harm of recommending that? We don't even have to mention the word code. We can secure this building better with ground anchors and then pass them on to somebody for further information
Right.
in the report.
Well, I know we have a mobile home park down in Middletown, and I can tell you none of those mobile homes are strapped down. There's no way.
But are they moving them occasionally?
I haven't seen one mobile home that has been moved. Like, so most of the ones that I do, they're portable. I've seen some with, the wheels and tires underneath where, technically I guess you could hook something up and move it. But most of the time what I'm seeing is they're permanent. Well, they're like semi-permanent structures. They're not going anywhere. Could they be moved? Yes. But I could move your house if I lifted it up. I mean, not as easily, but what I see in most mobile home parks that I go is I'm just seeing mobile home placed on concrete block at best. But I rarely see the strapping, especially in this area. So
yeah.
I
So
guess
this is not my area of expertise because I have nowhere near as many manufacturer homes under my belt as I do, site built homes.
right.
So I just apply everything from a site built home that I can apply to a manufactured home. And then if I can see what's underneath here, I will try to determine if it's properly cited and supported. I can tell you that I don't get underneath a lot of these. I don't know about I don't know how Scott feels about that, what percentage he may be able to see underneath, but that's my experience. So,
well, I can tell you when we talked about doing the mobile home presentation or the pre-construction, whatever you want to call it. The question that we debated about was I remember what you said to me. There's not a lot different than we do in a regular home that we're going to do in a mobile home. There's just a couple of things that we're going to look for differently. And, I said, we're not experts on it because we don't do a lot of them, but no home inspector sitting there doing 300 or 400 mobile homes a year. Right. So, if they are, they have other problems. But I think it's good that we're doing this and talking about it and working through it because there are differences and there's stuff, especially how you have to handle some of the clients, because you may be having clients, and I know I have, that have come from permanent structures that they've lived in for 30, 40 years. They have to downsize for some reason, and they feel this is a good option for them. And I've had people look at me during a mobile home inspection and say to me, do you think I'll get any water in the basement? And I'm like, okay, so you're not prepared to live here yet because we got to fully inform you how this is a little bit different than your normal house. That's all.
And maybe I shouldn't, but I try to pull some of the panels off and I was able to get them back in. That's me, but I'm not telling anybody else to try that, but some of them come out pretty easy. But if you had to go into your point, Jim, the ones we had here in Milford were moved. Some were older, some of them they put new ones on. But if I don't see anchoring or strapping, whether it's on a pad, this is not on a pad, this is on asphalt and it's blocked, but there's anchors. If I don't see that, it's no different when we do a house. We don't see something that would be, 1960 versus 2026 and 25 is different. I will mention it, that, clearly when this was installed, they didn't anchor it the way they do today. And I'll mention that. I mean, you get a good, listen, if I have a fifth wheel in my backyard and you have a good hurricane or a tornado comes through, that thing is going to go flying. No different with these guys. And if you see out in the Midwest where they have a lot of these manufactured mobile homes, any home will get destroyed if this wind is strong enough. But if I don't see it, or I see tears in the underbelly, I mean, there's a chance that, if it's not, there's insulation up there. If it's not insulated, stuff can freeze. Yes, that skirting does, it does keep a little of that wind and keep some of that cold air out and everything. But I do mention it. If you can't get under, you can't get under. Also, a lot of these manufactured homes, even the ones in Milford, there are guys that, I'm going to not say association. There's people in those, I think they have their own little homeowner association, but they have people that come in and actually fix windows, doors. They'll tighten down the strapping and everything. So that's something you could mention to your clients, because a lot of people that live there may be no different than a condo. Say, hey, this guy does all our windows, and they might get a deal on those windows. But if it doesn't look like the ones I see in Milford, I make note of it, even though it's older. And even if Jim, if they were to move the one from your area up to our area, they would probably have to strap. They would definitely have to strap it down.
Strap it down.
And kind of, the biggest thing too is looking for that sewer pipe. I know Stan has that coming up. Is it disconnected? Is it leaking? That's usually the one you can see. The other pipes have to be insulated so they don't freeze.
I think the questions I get the most from the clients that are buying these types of homes, insulation. All right, there's no way that building is going to be insulated by today's standards for a newer home. But depending on what kind of house they came from, it might have an equal amount for this type of construction. If they came from a 1918 home that didn't have any insulation in the exterior walls, and very little in the attic, well, at least we have some insulation in the attic and those walls, but it's not a lot. So, they're concerned about the things that they know about, and probably it's up to us to tell them the things that are different and what they are not aware of. Everything's right in their face. The furnace is right in their face. The water heaters in their closet. They need to know that.
Right.
The washer dryers in the hallway on these, the electrical panels right behind the front door, side door on the ones that I do. Those are things they probably, unless they went in their basement, would never see. So they know where they are when we're done. They know what the impact is. And then they decide, is this for me? But for us, I guess the biggest thing would be the structure, right? The tie downs, making sure it's secure. It's not going to go anywhere. Right. The rest is like a condo, sort of, because the place that Scott and I go to in Milford, it has an association. So I don't know what the details are, but so common exterior issues. What exterior issue do you see most often in a manufactured home? Water damage at roof seams, windows, and doors. I don't think, for me, not more than regular homes. Support problems. Well, I can't say that either because I don't get underneath all of them. Skirting issues, probably in the ones that I can get underneath, right? Because there's damage there that I can get through, and tie down problems. So I can't speak to any of these, but foundations and support systems, pier and ground set, most common type using concrete blocks or steel piers on footings, not considered permanent, requires proper spacing and blocking. runner or ribbon, continuous concrete strips under the main I-beam, more stable than piers alone, but still allows some movement. This is, I think, in my opinion, that would be the best way to handle it. That center picture there with a concrete block, perimeter wall, stem wall, whatever you want to call it. I have permanent concrete foundation, then it's no longer a, it's just a manufactured home now, like a modular home. And full perimeter foundation meeting FHA HUD permanent foundation guide, allows conventional financing, may include basement or crawl space. That just makes it a whole different animal, in my opinion. Foundation type significantly affects home stability, moisture control, and financing options for buyers. Well, pier spacing and installation. Typical pier requirements: support at each end of the main I-beams. Additional piers spaced 8 to 10 feet apart. Marriage line supports every 8 to 10 feet. Additional support at heavy connection points, water heaters, appliances. Permanent supports under exterior walls on larger homes. And piers must rest on adequate footings, typically 16 by 16 inch concrete pads. So similar to a modern basement or crawl space, I would say. The difference is that maybe the ends of the girder are in pockets, foundation pockets, rather than having a support underneath, but very similar. Inadequate number of piers. Common deficiencies would be inadequate number of piers, improper materials, missing footings under piers, unstable stacking of blocks, and settlement causing unlevel conditions. If you can't get underneath, then you need to kind of feel your way around the house and feel, or pull your little ball out and roll it around the house, or put a level down, and that may be able to give you reasons to question or tell somebody to open up for you underneath so that you can get in there and take a look if you want to go back. Settlement concerns and indicators. Doors and windows that sticker won't close. Well, I have a problem with that. Is it structural, or is it just poor installation? Probably in one of these, it would be more a structural issue. Diagonal cracks in drywall, especially at corners, uneven floors or sloping in certain directions, separation at marriage line on multi-section homes, buckled siding or trim at exterior, roof ridge sagging or uneven appearance, plumbing leaks from stressed connections. You know, very similar to things that we're looking at a regular home. And some of these you'd have to differentiate between poor installation or structural issues. Causes to look for: inadequate site preparation, poor soil compaction, insufficient footing sizes, water erosion under the home, frost heave in northern climates, and original setup errors, which, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, very similar to the things that could happen to any foundation. A full foundation, a crawl space, even slabs can have those kinds of issues.
And on mobile homes, you're not gonna, this is more pre-manufactured, you know. On a mobile home, you're not gonna see this type of crack most of the time because most of the walls are plastic. So you're not gonna have that settling. What you'll see more on the mobile homes is that marriage line where the home's put together. You know, if there's separation there, it can affect the flooring. Also, windows and doors opening and closing properly, it'll affect that more.
Anchoring systems in detail. The anchoring requirements. They vary based on home dimensions, length and width, wind zone calculations, classification, single or multi-section configuration, local jurisdiction amendments. Typical minimum anchors every 10 to 20 feet on both sides, with additional anchors at the corners. Key inspection points: anchor depth, 30 to 48 inches typical. We're not going to know that. Proper strap tension, hand tight plus 1/2 turn. Protection from corrosion and damage. evidence of previous movement, and presence of all required anchors. So when you're able to get underneath and move around, you may be able to determine some of that. Some of that would be verified at the installation or construction. Next, crawl space and underbelly conditions. So the bottom board integrity, fabric or plastic belly wrap protects the systems, should be intact without large openings. Repairs often done poorly with duct tape. Damage allows moisture, pests, and heat loss. That's true in the ones that I've seen. I actually saw one with water seeping out of it, little belly. Something else was wrong in the house, so that was a big red flag, but I don't get a chance to see that often underneath. And plumbing should be installed in cold climates, insulated in cold climates. Ducts should be sealed and intact. Electrical wires properly secured. No signs of rodent or pest activity. But if that belly wrap is on there, you're not going to see a lot of that. It's going to be above that. And then moisture control. Ground should be covered with vapor barrier, no standing water or excessive moisture, proper ventilation through skirting, and grading should direct water away from the home. So Scott, you're not there.
He's not here.
I believe that the skirting around most of the houses in this development that we roll into would be kind of like a soffit material that has the ventilation holes in it to move some air underneath that structure. So safety note, always check for electrical hazards, sharp metal edges, and pests before crawling under a manufactured home. Signs of inadequate support. External signs would be wavy or sagging roofline, doors that won't close properly, windows that bind or are out of square, buckling or waviness in siding, separation at marriage line, unusual gap between home and steps. Internal signs, sloping or sagging floors, squeaking or bouncing floor areas, cracks in walls, especially at openings, separation between walls and ceilings, cabinet doors that won't stay closed, plumbing leaks or drainage issues. Underbelly signs would be piers not in contact with frame, cracked or deteriorated footings, unstable or leaning piers, shimming with improper materials, inadequate number of support points, signs of previous movement. A lot of these things may not be accessible or seen. So that's where walking through one of these probably is more helpful to you than getting underneath, especially if you can't. So you gotta be aware when you're walking through. HUD FHA permanent foundation guidelines for manufactured homes. To qualify for conventional financing, they often need to meet HUD's permanent foundation guide for manufactured homes. Foundation must be engineered for the site, must be constructed of durable materials, concrete, masonry, treated wood, must extend below frost line for the region, must be site built, not part of the manufactured unit, must transfer all loads to the ground. The home must be permanently attached to the foundation, must include engineer's certification and inspection. My guess is that's what I'm seeing here. And I don't really think those things are going to be moved on a regular basis. They can be, but I don't think they're intended to be, like pulled around and then we come home from vacation and hook it back up and then take it on another vacation. That's what a mobile home is to me. This is pretty much going to stay where it is, unless something comes up, like they sell the site and they got to move them out. So viewing code, MH6683. You have to submit both viewing codes to get your credit if you're viewing this as a pre-recorded webinar. Good versus poor support example. Proper support. Solid concrete footings are adequate size, blocks aligned vertically with no overhang, proper materials, concrete block, not wood, metal plates between wooden shims and blocks, level and in full contact with frame, adequate number of piers at proper spacing. I think that picture is just generic in nature. Those are things that you'd have to look at from, if you even see a foundation or support from the outside, and then may not all apply to what's going on the inside. Improper support will be missing or inadequate footings, stacked blocks with offset, pyramid style, excessive use of wood shims or blocking, deteriorated materials from moisture, unstable configurations prone to failure, too few piers causing excessive spans. Just like what we do when we're in a house. You know, everything has a span and needs support underneath. If we exceed that, we're gonna have sagging and problems. Roofs and exterior. Common roof coverings, metal roofing. Common on older homes, usually 26 to 30 gauge with exposed fasteners, prone to rust at seams and fastener points, often coated or painted as maintenance. Asphalt shingles, most common here. Standard on newer homes, often lighter weight than site-built homes. Critical to check installation over existing roofing. Typically 3-tab rather than architectural. And the bottom, at least around here, or how I was taught, you know, your lightweight 3-tab shingles, like a 15 to 20 year, that's what I've seen on these until they need to be replaced. Like I said before, now they're going to be architectural. Rubber or TPO membranes used on low slope roofs or as roof overs requires proper adhesion and sealing at edges. Puncture vulnerability of concern, may have coating for UV protection. I did one with a rubber or TPO membrane, and I mean, the roof was almost flat, but I didn't really care for the installation, and I told the people that were buying it probably would have been better off with an asphalt shingle, but the asphalt is what we see here the most. Always check the inside the manufactured home before going on the roof.
Do you go on many roofs for a mobile home?
Do I go on them?
Yeah.
I'm gonna, you know, I don't, because I don't know
Right.
how it's sheathed or framed.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you a quick story. A long time ago, you know, because I started my business when I was working full time at another business, I used to get out of work at 3 o'clock and I needed to get all the light I could get. So I would do the roof first. I'd walk the roof. One day I was doing an attic, and well, first in the living room, I saw they took out a wood stove. There was a brick like hearth type thing for a wood stove, and the pipe went through the ceiling. They passed that up. It was raised ranch. It went through the attic floor, and then it went up through the roof. And it was a sizable circle cut out, and they didn't fill it in with plywood. They put a piece of sheet metal, aluminum over it, and then put the shingles on top of that. Had I stepped in that hole when I was on the roof, who knows what would have happened?
Right.
Maybe nothing. Maybe I would have went through into the attic. Maybe I would have fell off the roof. I still don't do it, but it's smart to do the attic first before you get on the roof, so you can see what condition the sheathing is and keep yourself a little safer. So most of these, I just move the ladder around. You know, if I see that, you know, if the one I had there was a skylight in it. It was terribly installed.
But sometimes they don't have an attic hatch in these mobile homes, right? So
Right. There's usually not an attic.
they're usually not.
Yeah.
So I mean, I do my best to get on them sometimes, and sometimes if you know,
Sketchy of
Yes,
us.
but,
Right.
yeah.
Next
All right.
slide, Deb.
And also, wait, you know, I know we're running short on time. We got a lot of slides to go through, but on a low slope roof, I've seen them many times that they'll throw an architectural or 3-tab shingle where it should be a rubber membrane. Because, you know, just be careful on that, especially on the
I've seen that too. Mhm.
Not a lot of pitch.
Yeah, if you shorten up the exposure and run ice and water underneath all of it, you might be able to get away with it. But I'm more concerned about avoiding the shingle manufacturer's warranty
Right.
on how you install it. But there are guys that will shorten up the exposure, glue all the courses down or adhesive over full ice and water. And that's their excuse for putting it on a lower pitch roof. But I think it's ridiculous. So roof pitch considerations, shallow pitch, most of them, limited drainage capability, reduced wind resistance compared to steeper roofs, frequently problematic in high rainfall or snow areas, lower pitch, more susceptible to wind-driven rain, minimal attic ventilation space due to low pitch. All right. So again, just to reiterate, I've never seen an attic in any of the ones I did. Not that I did a lot. Critical issues. Some materials, standard asphalt shingles, aren't rated for slopes under 312 without special installation techniques, like I said. So we can get into that depending on the pitch at an inspection. So we're, especially on low roofs, looking for signs of ponding water, proper underlayment for pitch. You may not see that. Adequate drainage at the eaves, evidence of leaks at low spots, improper shingle application on lower slopes, aftermarket pitch modifications. I'm not going to get into that because we got on the picture there. Flashing and roof penetrations. Plumbing vents often use special roof jacks. I'm not sure what that term is. Is that the
like a static vent almost. Oh, no, I'm
HVAC?
sorry. No, I'm thinking something else. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is it the actual, like the boot?
Like it's a different boot. Yeah.
Yeah. HVAC penetrations may be larger and more complex. Furnace water heater vents require proper clearance. Factory installed skylights often leak at the seams. And aftermarket penetrations are high risk areas. I'm not sure what an aftermarket penetration would be, but you're hoping that the person that penetrated the roof knows how to make the seals properly around there, the flashing and so on and so forth. Chimney flashing, often simplified compared to site-built homes. Many use single-piece flashing rather than step flashing, yes. Frequently relies heavily on sealant and subject to separation with home movement and frequent source of leakage. And all chimney flashings, I think, have leaked at one time. You're always seeing water stains underneath the chimney in a house. So why would it be any different here? Edge treatments, simple drip edge or J channel at the eaves, limited overhang. I don't know if I've ever seen one with an overhang that I did. Often lacks starter shingles at the eaves, may have factory installed rain gutters, and vulnerable to water intrusion at the edges. I will say, again, not that I've done a lot, but I don't think I've ever seen anything where there was a problem at the eaves or things of that nature. There was some shady, flashing and penetration sealing and stuff like that, but I also see that on regular homes. So again, I just go at this like it was a regular home, and 90% of it. Roof penetrations are the #1 source of leaks in manufactured homes due to simplified flashing details and reliance on sealants.
Hey, Stan, Ed
Yes.
Wagner here. So a roof jack out here in Massachusetts, that would be something you would use to stabilize yourself on a roof when you're working on it.
No, a roof jack is also called a plumbing vent boot.
Okay, but out here, a roof jack is what we would use to put a board on to go up on a roof.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
that has
but-
nothing to do with a plumbing vent. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
I've never seen a plumbing vent called that. A roof jack would be a bracket for me. Just
Gotcha.
sharing it with you, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Good information.
Seams and sealants. Marriage line seams. In multi-section homes, the connection between roof sections is critical. Should have continuous flashing or special seam tape. Often relies on rubber membranes or metal caps. frequently depends on field applied sealants. Most common source of roof leaks in multi-sections. Settlement can open previously sealed seams and may have visible gaps or separations. So those of you who have done these that have multiple sections, I don't remember ever doing one. Is this an obvious seam that you could see from outside, Jim?
No, because it's going to be covered with
Shingles.
yeah, it's
Roofing.
going to be covered with siding and shingles.
Yeah, okay. Sealant dependence. Manufactured homes rely heavily on sealants. Roof-to-wall transitions, penetration flashings, seam coverage, joint protection, sealant deterioration over time. That's an issue for anybody, and regular resealing needed 3 to 5 years. Don't you think these last two are part of home maintenance, no matter what type of home it is, that you got to be looking at these things and resealing them? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage of, I don't track stuff like this, but I see sealant on chimney flashing all the time. Some people do it because it's necessary, it's leaking. Other people do it because they think they have to. Once I see it, I write it up in my report just to cover my butt. But there, and we all know when all that stuff moves and expands and contracts, and there's all different kinds of materials, things open up. But I still tell them that ideally, you know, you're flashing, whether especially plumbing vents, pipe vents, should if they're leaking, you don't want to seal them with sealant. You need to replace it,
Right.
in my opinion. But
I'm gonna take over for you because you've done
Okay.
a lot. Siding types and defects, metal siding, common issues. We're gonna see rust at the seams and fasteners. You've got to look for dents and physical damage, missing or damaged trim pieces, failed caulking at opens, improper repairs. You know, they're filling that window gap with a lot of sealant. Vinyl siding, common issues, cracking from impact, warping from heat exposure, loose or missing sections, improper cutting around openings, moisture trapped behind the siding. The warping and heating, you know, you can have, I've done inspections where they called me out just for that issue, and we tracked it back to another house. The sun hits a certain window, and it's like a laser beam on the other house across the street, or it's a grill that's too close to the siding. So you got to look for all that. Hardboard composite common issues, deterioration at bottom edges, swelling from moisture absorption, delamination of surface layer, fungal growth and decay, failed paint or protective coating. Check the bottom edges of all your siding, because this is where water damage can typically begin. Water intrusion risks, doors and windows, poor flashing, foundation, water deflection issues. Water's got to move away from the house, poor grading, skirt problems. The additions, you see a lot of things added onto these mobile homes. Improperly flashed connections between structures. A lot of times they'll just try to stick a shed right against the mobile home. Roof seams, marriage lines, deterioration, flashing, damaged membranes, penetrations. Look for your vent pipes, skylights with failed sealants, siding joints, failed corners. If you're looking at siding and all the connections are in one line, that was improperly put in. They should be staggered. Manufactured homes are particularly vulnerable to water damage due to lightweight materials, multiple seams, and reliance on sealants rather than redundant barriers. Gutters and drainage problems, typical issues, often lightweight or vinyl materials. Limited overhang complicates installation, may sag or separate at seams. Downspouts may discharge too close to home. Frequently damaged during transport or setup. Often added after manufacture with mixed results. We're gonna, again, this is a little bit of going over everything again, repetitiveness, but site drainage concerns, improper grading around the perimeter, water pooling underneath the home, skirting blocking natural drainage, lack of swales or drainage paths, erosion affecting foundation supports, drip line deterioration at eaves. You know, we always want to recommend extending downspouts at least 6 feet from the foundation and ensure positive draining away from the home in all directions. That's on any home. We've been adding some narratives. We're going to go through these quickly because we're wrapping up. Sample language for your report. This 1998 manufactured home shows multiple areas of concern. The metal roof appears to have been coated with elastamic material approximately 3 to 5 years ago based on deterioration patterns. The coating is failing in multiple seams, particularly at marriage lines running the length of the home. Active leakage was observed in the ceiling below the area. When we go on to vinyl siding is generally intact but shows improper cutting. The perimeter support piers are adequately spaced but show signs of settlement. This is how you should be, some of the sample language for your supports. Interior and systems. Interior walls and ceilings. Common materials are vinyl covered gypsum, wallboard, VOG panels, wood paneling on older homes, textured ceiling panels or popcorn textures, batten strips covering panel seams, lightweight trim materials. Most of the stuff's plastic. We'll have movement issues, separating its ceiling to wall junctures, tape batten separation and panel seams, diagonal cracks from settlement, marriage line separation, door frame distortion, affecting operation. We want to make sure all your screen doors, metal doors open and close properly. Floor and soft spots. Floor system issues are the most common and expensive problems in manufacturing homes. Common causes for floor damage: water leakage from plumbing beneath the floor, toilet or shower pan leakage, exterior water intrusion through walls, damaged belly wrap allowing moisture to come in, excessive humidity in crawl space, insufficient support causing deflection. Inspection techniques. Walk the entire floor, noting springiness or movement. Check for sloping with marble test. Press firmly near toilets, tubs, and exterior walls. Note any floor covering damage or stains. Bounce test at suspected soft areas. Correlate with underbelly inspection findings. So this is on any home, but like on mobile homes, it just could be exasperated, especially in toilets. So you just have to watch out for these things. Electrical system. Typically 100 to 200 amp service, often overhead connection to mast. Main panel usually surface mounted, must have proper grounding. It's often to the frame, may have factory installed meter base. Wiring issues in mobile homes. Aluminum wiring common in homes before 1990. You're going to have limited access to junction boxes. The factory installed cables may be inaccessible. Branch circuits often 14 gauge with limited capacity. GFCI protection may be missing in older homes, so we want to put in for upgrades. HUD requirements. Homes should have HUD label on panel cover. Panel must be accessible, not in the closet or bathroom. Required smoke detectors, minimum electrical receptacle spacement requirements, and anti-scald protection required fixtures. Again, the aluminum wiring on all homes, we had a big problem in Cromwell with condominium complexes up here. Should be flagged as potential safety issues. Plumbing systems are gray plastic prone to failure, are polybutane. CPVC, yellow plastic, common in the 80s to 2000s. We have PEX now. The copper's less common. The PVC drain lines typically thin walled. Common problems are freezing underneath the floor, inadequate support causing sagging and traps, limited access for repairs, belly wrap damage exposing pipes, improper slope on drain lines, water heater installation, venting issues, leak at factory connections. Okay, finding the water heater. So, locating the water heater in a manufactured home can sometimes be tricky due to diverse floor plans and space-saving designs. Understanding common placement strategies and unique challenges they present is crucial for your thorough inspection. Common locations are in a utility furnace closet, often found in a small utility room, bedroom closet on older units, kitchen and hallway cabinetry. They can put a little 30-gallon in the kitchen underneath the cabinets. Exterior access panels, bathroom and lavatory areas. I found them in there. Inspection considerations would be check adequate clear space for service and maintenance, confirm proper ventilation, venting for gas, especially correct type, size, and routing for exhaust fans. Look for corrosion, blockages, or backdrafting. Drain pan, I very rarely see these in mobile homes. Connections, inspect water lines, shutoff valves, and electrical gas connections for leaks, corrosion, and damage. The TPR valve, confirm the temperature and pressure relief is present, properly piped to drain and not leaking. A lot of these will go right through the floor, right onto the ground, which may not be a great thing because how do you know it's leaking? Condition, no any signs of leak, rust damage, or sediment buildup. Check the age of the unit for expected lifespan, right on that plate there. Kitchens and bathrooms. Manufacturer homes are designed for efficiency, but present unique inspection challenges related to materials and modular construction. Look for signs of water damage, especially around sinks, dishwashers, and inspect all installed appliances. We're going to inspect the countertops, cabinets, sinks, appliances, and ventilation, just like we would on a normal home. Bathrooms are high moisture areas where proper ventilation and waterproof integrity are critical. Water damage is common and often costly in manufacturer home bathrooms due to material choices and construction methods. So we're going to look at our showers and tubs. We're going to inspect for cracks, leaks, proper caulking, check for secure mounting. Toilets, we're going to look to see that they're secure at the base, proper flushing. Vanities and sinks, we're going to check for damage, secure mounting, functional faucets. Again, the flooring, we're going to check to see how that is and it's not soft or moving. Ventilation, we want to make sure exhaust fans are present, functioning, and venting to the exterior to prevent moisture buildup, as we would on any home. Heating and cooling systems. Furnace systems. Often closet installed with limited clearance may use seal combustion or have special venting requirements, typically downdraft design with ductwork and floor system. Package units, which we see a lot of, all-in-one systems mounted on the exterior wall or roof, delivers air through short duct run, requires proper support and condensate management, common in newer homes. Ductwork, typically flexible or thin metal in the floor cavity, highly susceptible to damage, disconnection, and rodent intrusion, often poorly insulated, leading to efficiency losses. Critical safety concern. Furnace installation in closets must maintain proper clearance to combustibles and have adequate combustion air to prevent carbon monoxide hazards. You see these in the closets all the time. I see these all the time. Ventilation challenges, common ventilation deficiencies, bathroom fans venting into attic space rather than the exterior, kitchen range hood recirculating rather than exhausting, inadequate roof vents for attic ventilation, blocked or covered crawl space vents and skirting, improper dryer venting, limited soffit ventilation due to minimal overhangs, roof vent penetrations prone to leakage. Proper ventilation is essential for moisture control in manufacturer homes. Improperly vented moisture leads to condensation, mold growth, and deterioration of lightweight materials. This you're never really going to see in a mobile home. On a manufactured home, yes, but in a mobile home, there's no attic. So, fire safety issues, smoke detector requirements, required in all bedrooms, required in hallways adjacent to bedrooms, should be interconnected in newer homes. Battery backup required for hardwired units may have different requirements based on HUD code year. Egress requirements, minimum of 2 exterior doors required. Bedroom windows must meet emergency egress size. Minimum 36-inch height to windowsill, minimum 5 square feet opening. Exit paths should be unobstructed. If you don't know, the newer smoke alarms, you cannot change the batteries anymore. The smoke alarm or the carbon monoxide alarm will just last 10 years and it'll start beeping and then you got to throw it out and buy a new one. Common system defect photos. So we're just gonna take a look at some photos here. We got some leakage here, toilet leaking, a lot of wiring. I don't know what's going on in there. A crawl space where your ductwork is falling. This should be well above the floor line. an improper vent hood here. And I don't even know what that is. That water pipe should be not plastic. Aluminum wiring. I don't, I'll note it in the electrical panel, but I am going to start adding it in my reports on older homes that it's a possibility that it's in there. So that's something that we need to take a look at. But we're not going to be able to see a lot of the wiring. We're not opening up junction boxes, and we're just going to see it in the panel. So sorry we went over a little bit. Stan, do you have anything you'd like to wrap up with?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
Anybody have any questions or anything? We have our next webinar, I believe, is venting, and let me just look that up for you guys. Hold on real quick. We have combustion air and venting safety February 3rd, and February 17th we have load bearing walls and beam identification. And I will do my best to get these certificates out early tomorrow morning. If you do not get your certificate, check your junk mail first, because I'm pretty diligent on sending them out to everybody. They go out in a big batch. So check your junk first. If you don't get it by the end of the day tomorrow, which is Wednesday, just email me Thursday morning, because if you didn't get it by the end of the Wednesday, it's not in your junk. For some reason it didn't go through, but I want to send them to you. So just, you're not bothering me. Just send me an email. Hey, I didn't get my certificate, and I'll get it right back out to you.
Hey, do you need the state license number for the certificate?
The state license number has to be put on in New York and Connecticut.
Okay, because Mass, some institutions put it, so I was curious.
Yeah, so Mass has a little bit of different regulations. Mass does not require, they don't actually even have a authorization number. When I submit courses or webinars for Mass, I submit them to the person in charge of that, and he gets back to me by email and he just says approved. So there, because in Mass you're not allowed to watch our recorded webinars. So this is recorded, and then it'll be put on our website probably tomorrow. But Mass inspectors cannot watch those; they have to go to live events.
Okay. Yep.
Jim, I have a quick question. In Rhode Island, does it have to have my license number on it?
No.
Oh.
You don't have to have a license number on it. We do put license numbers on, but like if you're a multi-state inspector, it's kind of hard for us to put everybody's license number on there.
Okay, I was trying to add Connecticut and Rhode Island, but I can only add one, right?
Yeah, you can only have one license number on it, but that they don't require that. The state doesn't require your license number on the certificate. They just New York and Connecticut require that the approval code be on there.
Okay, thank
so
you.
It's not a big deal. If you're a Mass inspector and you need a credit in Rhode Island, they'll accept it without your Rhode Island number being on there, because they have your Rhode Island number on file anyways. So
I was writing my number on each one, but that's all right. Thank you.
Yep, not a problem.
Hey, if you guys ever have any issues with a certificate, just get back to us and we'll square it away.
Okay,
Right?
that's great. Thank you.
So I just had a question about this is the first time I'm taking a class with you folks, and is there anything that and obviously I signed up as a member, the $20 a month one, and anything else, because I know when I did the sign up, I put my license, so I'm licensed in New York and Connecticut. I put that stuff down. Is there anything else I have to do, or I will automatically receive this certificate from you via email?
You're actually in a really good spot being in New York and Connecticut, because we're approved in both states. In Connecticut, you can go back and watch any of our webinars in the past and get credit. Our webinars in Connecticut are approved for a 2-year period in the licensing cycle. In New York, they do not allow you to do that. So in New York, we're starting out in January. This is actually our first webinar that we're having in January that was approved in New York. So let's say we're in August of this year. You can go back to New York Inspector and watch any webinar that we've done this year. But all the New York webinars expire at the end of the year. So it's January to December. You can watch Anything live that's approved, anything recorded that's approved. But after we go into 2020, January 2027, that's it. Anything from 26 and back is no good for you. You still get credit if you've watched it live or if you watched it, but you can't go back and watch it.
New Jersey.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, so like, because you're also a Connecticut inspector, if you wanted to go back and watch something from last year and get credit for it, it's still approved for 2 years. And we get those reapproved. So it's always going to be approved in Rhode Island, New Jersey, and Connecticut. They will always be approved. But in Mass and New York, Mass does not let you do pre-recorded, and New York credits are only good for the year. And then they expire.
Okay, so, but now if my license is up in 2027
Yes,
in
Connecticut.
both New York and Connecticut, any courses that I take from you folks this year, like let's say pre-recorded webinars for I know they're going to work for Connecticut, live and pre-recorded, but also any pre-recorded ones that were dated 2026 from you would work in New York. Did I hear?
In New York,
is that what I heard you say?
Yes. So
Okay.
anything in 2026 for New York is going to be good, whether it's live or pre-recorded.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. Perfect. Hopefully